Union is unveiling its new climate plan, which aims to slash carbon emissions by 2030. The Fit for 55 package will mean big changes for sectors including construction, car makers and aviation. The goal is to speed up decarbonisation in the European economy. Let's talk more about that with our business editor, Stephen Carroll, who's on the line. Stephen, first of all, tell us more about what's in this plan.
It's a package of 12 pieces of legislation which will encompass big changes to how deals with climate and cutting emissions by 55% by 2030. That's compared to 1990 levels, and aiming to move closer to that carbon neutrality goal by 2050. The centrepiece of the changes will be an upgrade to the emissions trading scheme. This is a scheme where polluters pay for pollution, and that is one of the elements that's going to be expanded dramatically under the Fit for 55 plan. There's also going to be the introduction of a carbon border tax, which means that you will have importers of things like raw materials like steel and aluminium will have to pay for the carbon cost of that as it comes into the European Union when it's imported for outside. So that has potential impact on trade outside of the EU as well. We'll see things like tax applied to fuel for aviation and fuel for sea shipping for the first time as well under these proposals. But it is something that has caused some concern amongst particularly MEPs over who will pay for the cost of this. They're particularly worried about how poorer households who pay a greater proportion of their income towards things like heating and transport could be hit by the knock-on effects of carbon taxes. So this package is also coming with financial support. Billions of euros, we're told, which will aim to compensate for some of those losses for people who'll be affected most by a big change in how the EU taxes carbon.
And Stephen, some of the biggest changes in this plan will be for car makers. Tell us what's going to change on the roads.
Well, from 2035, if what's being reported is confirmed by the European Commission today, by 2035, car makers will need to stop making new combustion engine cars, so petrol, diesel, and potentially even hybrid cars as well. Car makers will no longer be able to make those after 2035. The goal being is that all of those combustion engine cars will be off the road by 2050, given the average life of a car on the roads in Europe. And that's a major change for those companies and, of course, for drivers as well. And it will be something that car makers really have to ramp up their production of electric cars to be able to meet those targets. There is already some resistance from within the auto industry, particularly about the phasing out of hybrid cars. And that's something that we can expect there'll be lots of political discussion over, because car makers are major employers in countries like France and Germany. And as this process, because the European Commission will only be proposing a plan today, it is the member states and the European Parliament that will decide on the final product. So that's something that may feed into those discussions today. All of this happening on a day that we've also been reminded of the other side of the polluting part of the motor industry with a court decision from the Netherlands and the Dieselgate scandal, that drivers there who had cars installed with that emissions cheating software will be able to claim compensation of up to €3,000 each, just the latest in a long string of legal cases that Volkswagen has faced over the Dieselgate scandal. But I suppose it's the other side of what the EU is trying to achieve today with its plan to dramatically reduce carbon and phase out the use of any combustion engines in new cars from 2035.
Stephen Carroll, our business editor, thank you very much indeed.